How are you doing?
I'm great, Gilbert. Great to be back on with you here.
Yes, I checked on with you a few months ago during PDAC and was saying this we should be about this time that we should have an update. You have some kind of quite a bit of activities going on. Maybe just you can start off for some of the audience to sort of refresh the memories because we last spoken here about a year ago. And give us a bit of overview and sort of high level of what you have involved in the past 12 months about your company.
Sure. Well, as some of your audience members, may recall, we're an exploration focused company with primarily a multi-commodity approach, but specifically within that framework, on precious metals and critical metals in particular. Our our geographic area of interest is in Atlantic Canada, specifically the provinces of New Brunswick and Newfoundland. We also have what I would call a non-core or non-focus portfolio of properties in southern Argentina, which has generated significant interest for us. But that's kind of secondary. So, we've been very active within our call it core focus in Atlantic Canada, and specifically New Brunswick, Newfoundland, as mentioned. We've added a couple projects, I think, since we've last talked. Which I think should be very interesting to your audience. We're quite excited by both of them. One in New Brunswick called Prospector's Dream is something that our team technically is very excited about. This is a project we optioned from a local prospector who we've gotten to know and done a couple transactions with. It's in north central New Brunswick. It's probably just over 16,000 hectares in size. It's along a fault structure, Moose Lake Fault structure that is predominant in the area. This area is very underexplored, and when my chief geo and I walked the property last October, we were blown away at some of the things we encountered, but specifically the predominant, quartz boulder train covering multi-kilometers in terms of strike length, that exhibit all of the patterns you want to see from a low sulfidation gold system. I don't want to take words out of my chief geologist's mouth, but he'd never seen anything like it. So we're quite excited to advance that project. It's early stage. We'll be doing flying geophysics there this year. Pretty soon, as a matter of fact, full VTEM survey over the entire property, and then obviously doing initial phase work in terms of prospecting, mapping, and geochemical soil surveys. So that's in central New Brunswick. The other project we added was in western Newfoundland, very close to our existing Humber Copper-Cobalt project, where we made a discovery last summer. This project's called Shellbird. And again, this is a project much like Humber that we worked up ourselves from looking at regional data sets. And it's along what we believe is the extension of the Deucers Valley Fault, which is a major structure we know very well because it is also host to our Great Northern project to the northwest, which is under option to Gold Hunter. Shellbirds again, it's seen very limited historic exploration. There's some historic elevated rock and soil samples that had never been followed up on going back to the 90s. The project again, it's district scale. It's 30 plus thousand hectares. So we go out of these things. We take major land positions because scale is important when you're looking for what we want to find is significant deposits. So those are the two main things that have happened. But at the same time, we've also advanced our other projects, Rocky Brook in the Bathurst Camp, and of course Humber in Western Newfoundland.
Yeah, you mentioned you've added those two projects, so that's important for you. Those that just let's dive into some of these other projects that you had and some of the recent work you've in the Humber and Rocky Brook. You've returned some good strong anomalies and early high grade results. So including copper up to what 8.17%. Wow, what stands out most, and is it out of your expectation? What's your strategy towards these projects?
Thank you. No, I'm glad you focused on those. Well, I'll deal with Rocky Brook first up in the Bathurst camp, and just a little refresher. The Bathurst camp is historic. Multiple mines have been effectively developed. There, going back 70, 80 years. It's predominantly known as a VMS camp, base metals, specifically copper, zinc, lead. But recently, it's also shown that there's another horizon there, the precious metals horizon. Discoveries made by Puma and Kinross in concert have shown that the camp is also prospective for orogenic gold. We've got exposure to both of these, and where we've done our work and where we had success in last year's program and where we're following up this year is two specific areas. The Fournier Lake area is where we had significant elevated gold numbers in rock and soil samples. So we're completing a geophysical survey over that area because there's very sparse geophysical coverage from the regional database. So that's going to be flown here shortly. And then we're going to be following that up with additional work, probably trenching over those zones, those anomalous zones that we located last summer, with a view as we progress through the year as to develop targets for potential drill program in the late summer, early fall. Staying at Rocky Brook, we're also doing similar at what's called the Fossil Hill Trend, which is an area that's in what we would call the VMS horizon. Trenching results from last year turned up some very elevated copper numbers, with some of which you've just referred to. Multiple numbers in plus 1%, up as high as 7%. So we've advanced a lot of our targeting here using artificial intelligence, machine learning over the past year, and we've developed we've been able to hone in and develop some pretty interesting targets. We've also, because of this exercise, we've gone out and staked additional ground that has been flagged or come up as interesting in terms of our machine learning work. So again, at Fossil Hill, we're looking to advance Fossil Hill to a stage by the end of the summer, early fall, that we can initiate a first phase drill program there as well. And then flipping over to Newfoundland at Humber, as you recall, last year we made what we think is a significant discovery, second day in the field, at what's called the Birch Zone. Elevated copper in outcrop, plus 1% copper in outcrop. We've been able to map this zone of mineralization. It's about 50 at surface. It's about 50 meters wide. We've now mapped it over 4 kilometers at surface, in outcrop and in soils and rock geochemistry. What's really interesting here is the VTEM survey we did last year has highlighted a magnetic low that is directly coincident to this surface anomaly. Now, the magnetic low indicates that 4+ kilometers of strike length that we've already outlined at surface could extend another 3 kilometers. So one of the things we're doing this summer is to extend the surface work over that potential 3-kilometer extension. And again, where we're looking to go with this is a potential drill program, identifying targets along that lengthy strike horizon for a first phase drill program in the late summer, early fall. So, gearing up for lots of potential catalysts come the fall.
Well, as we are aware, your business model is kind of unique because you're working on multiple projects at the same time, and try to add value and monetize it later. And so now you've added 2 more projects like Shellbird and Prospect or Stream. So my easy question for you, but you probably answered quite a few times already, is to how do you prioritize? Because you're just a junior company working on multiple projects. How do you prioritize and manage these projects? And then who is your priority, and how are you going about to approach each of them?
No, it's a great question, and certainly it is a question I get asked all the time. And I always answer the question by saying, you get to a point like you can't ride two horses in the same horse race, right? So you get to a point where you have to focus specifically. We're not quite yet at that point. We're basically advancing all these projects in parallel to what we would call the drill ready phase. And it's going to be drill success. Drill success is going to define or lack thereof, but drill success is going to define, which project sort of, is the horse we're gonna ride. So that we're getting to that point, and as I'd just mentioned, we're going to be drilling at Rocky Brook, ideally, and at Humber, come late this summer, early fall. So at which point, with success, we'll be able to define which project will take more of our time and effort and financial resources.
You mentioned earlier in your introduction that you have projects in Argentina that you're working with your partner, Lewis Lawrick. So how does that fit into your overall strategy? Because your focus is in the Atlantic.
Yes, no, it's Argentina is we don't have a team down there. We have been able to maintain that portfolio due to an option we had with a major, Newmont Mining, on one of the projects that was handed back to us in 2025. It's basically a self-sustaining portfolio. It doesn't cost us much to hold. We have put all of those projects up. They're all available for sale or for option. The first of which was Luna Roja, that was option to, as you mentioned, Lunex Metals, in a deal we signed with them last fall in early October. We're very impressed and excited as to how they've advanced the project to date. They've been very aggressive. They've moved forward, completed significant surface work and geophysical work by the end of 2025, and commenced a first phase drill program, 3,000 meters on select targets in early March. And right now we're keenly anticipating the assay results from that first program, which should be available in the next week, the next couple of weeks, to be honest with you. At the same time, Lunex has now been they've applied for listing on the TSX Venture. And they should be listed in trading here within, again, by mid-July. So and I do know that they are planning, based on visual results today, they do believe they're going to have some nice numbers coming out of the drilling they've done, and they're already planning a phase 2 drill program at Luna Roja, another 3,000 to 4,000 meters to commence, within the next 6 to 8 weeks. As you may recall, as I mentioned, we've done a deal with them. They owe us a first anniversary payment of $400,000 split between cash and shares in early October. So a couple things there. We're anticipating drill results on the project, plus we're anticipating a payment. So it's very much a first anniversary payment. So very much a model for us as to what we would like to do with the rest of the portfolio down there. And I can tell you, we've had significant interest. Argentina is become a place that has generated a lot of interest with companies. Geopolitically, it's changed considerably over the last couple of years under the Milei government. It's no longer a place to be seen as risky. It's now almost preferred jurisdiction. And so we've had a number of parties sign CAs in the data room, and we fully anticipate that, we'll do another, call it another Lunex with one or more of our projects in that portfolio down there. So we anticipate, further monetization of those assets.
Great. Looking forward to those. And my last question for you, let's talk about a bit about your share price evaluations. 12 months ago, when we last talked, you were about trading around 9 cents. Now, after 12 months, you're about double. It's you're still small in terms of market evaluation. So how are you going to go about what kind of catalyst the investors should be expecting the next 12 months to sort of re-rate your company furthermore?
Thank you. No, a number of things. Obviously, just simply on our own flagship projects, our own focus projects, advancing them to the drill ready stage and then commencing drill programs. So we're looking to do that at Humber and at Rocky Brook. Then drilling by our partners. I mentioned Gold Hunter. I didn't talk much about them, but we own 54 million shares, almost 19% of the company. Their program at our Great Northern Project drill program is kicking off here in a couple weeks. They've got a 10,000 meter drill program lined up. They'll be drilling all the way through summer, fall, into the winter. So we'll have a steady diet of drill results coming off the Great Northern Project. And, as the 20%, almost 20% holder, there's, any success they had should be reflected in our share price as well through our ownership position. So we're looking forward to that. And then obviously, just, as I just mentioned, Lunex going public, drill results. Again, we will be a shareholder. They owe us a payment in October. Any success they have on our project down there, not only does it give us a bump from a value perspective, but it also shows that the projects we have down there are excellent projects and could effectively kickstart or generate further interest in the rest of our portfolio for other monetization. So we've got multiple catalysts. I don't even know where to start. I mean, and I'm gonna go on record here as saying that I think we're grossly undervalued. Any one of these projects could generate a 30, 40, 50, 80, $100 million market cap if we have drill success. And as I say, we've got 4 or 5 projects we're generating ourselves, activity ourselves. We've got partners generating activity, and we've got underlying projects that will generate liquidity within our portfolio. So we are able to manage dilution quite handily. So it's not an easy story to tell. We do have a lot going on. We have a great team, and I'm really excited. We've gotten to this point over the last year and a half, Gilbert, and I think we're now really at the cusp of having what I would call a significant re-rate, because I think one or more of these catalysts is going to generate some pretty significant results for us.
Great. Looking forward to all these activities, and it's always a pleasure to speaking with you and about the update of the company. And I hope to speak with you pretty soon again.
I would look forward to that, Gilbert. Thank you again, and appreciate your time and interest.
Thank you.